Forbidden sweetness: how 5 fruits helped a diabetic woman take back her life. It started with a single grape. Not a binge, not a cake or cookie, just one grape. But for Helen Gardner, age 72, a retired literature professor with a deep affection for summer fruit bowls, that single grape felt like an act of defiance. Or maybe rebellion. She had spent the last 6 months living in fear of carbs, fear of sugar, fear of the disease that had taken over her life in a quiet, invisible storm. Type 2 diabetes. Her diagnosis had come on a rainy Tuesday afternoon, delivered in a monotone voice by a doctor who barely looked up from his clipboard. You'll need to eliminate sugar entirely. No more fruit, especially not sweet ones. It's basically poison now. Helen nodded, silent, numb. Poison. She went home and threw out her apples, her pears, her kiwi, even her frozen berries. She filled the fridge with boiled chicken, broccoli, and silent dread. But it wasn't just her taste buds that died. So did her joy. The visit. The person who noticed wasn't her doctor or even her friends. It was Nina, her granddaughter, 19, pre-med, all curiosity and caffeine. "Grandma," Nina said one afternoon, poking her head into the kitchen, "why does your fridge look like a hospital?" Helen forced a smile. "Doctor's orders." Nina frowned, then did something unexpected. She pulled out her phone, sat down, and said, "I want to show you something." The first fruit, Jabuticaba. The video was grainy, but the message was clear. A nutritionist was talking about an obscure fruit, Jabuticaba, that looked like dark marbles and grew on tree trunks in Brazil. "It's full of anthocyanins," the woman on the screen explained. "It slows down sugar absorption, lowers inflammation, and even improves digestion. Diabetics can eat it with the skin for real blood sugar benefits." Helen blinked. "Isn't that sugar?" "Yes," Nina said, "but not all sugar is created equal." A week later, Nina found some at a specialty market. Helen was skeptical, but she tried one. Tart. Sweet. Then something else. It didn't spike her blood sugar, it didn't make her dizzy, it made her feel awake. Something flickered in her chest. Not guilt, not rebellion. Hope. The second fruit. Apple. Next came the apple, the most ordinary fruit of all. But what Nina shared made it extraordinary. "Apples are high in pectin, Grandma. That's a type of fiber that slows glucose entry into the bloodstream. It doesn't flood your system, it releases steadily, like a good story." Helen chuckled at the metaphor. She liked that. They sliced a green apple, ate it with a spoonful of almond butter, measured her glucose 2 hours later. Stable. Even. She had spent months fearing what an apple could do to her, but in that moment, it felt like freedom wrapped in red skin and fiber. The third fruit. Blackberry. But the real surprise came next. Blackberries. Helen had avoided them, thinking they were sugar bombs in disguise. Nina shook her head. "Nope. They're low glycemic, full of fiber, and packed with anthocyanins, like Jabuticaba. They help with insulin sensitivity." They tried a bowl with Greek yogurt and cinnamon. It was like dessert, but with purpose. And for the first time in months, Helen didn't feel like she was cheating. She felt like she was winning. That night, she slept without the usual 3 a.m. crash. Her glucose remained steady. Maybe, she thought, sweetness wasn't forbidden. Maybe she had just been reading the wrong script. The fourth fruit. Kiwi. The next morning, Nina showed up with a bag of kiwis. Helen raised an eyebrow. "Fuzzy sugar grenades?" "Not quite," Nina smiled. Kiwi has a low glycemic index, high vitamin C, and a magical enzyme called actinidin that helps digest protein. Oh, and it helps balance glucose. Even the skin is edible if you're brave. Brave. Helen was starting to like that word again. She sliced the kiwi, ate it, skin and all, and was surprised by how good it felt. Tangy, bright, alive, like she was digesting more than food, maybe fear itself. The turnaround. Over the next 6 weeks, something happened. Helen's A1C dropped. Her energy rose. The brain fog lifted. She started walking again, reading more, laughing. Her doctor blinked at the lab results. "What did you do?" Helen smiled.
I rewrote the rules. One fruit at a time.
The final scene. Now, every Sunday, Helen and Nina host a small Sweetness Without Fear group at the library. They serve sliced kiwi, blackberry parfaits, apple wedges with cinnamon, and pear tarts, no sugar added. Jabuticaba is harder to find, but when they get it, it's a celebration. Helen speaks with quiet conviction. "I thought I had to cut everything joyful to stay alive, but I was wrong. I just had to learn what real joy and real nourishment looked like." Final thoughts. These 5 fruits, Jabuticaba, apples, blackberries, kiwi, and pears, aren't indulgences, they're allies. Each one helped Helen not only stabilize her blood sugar, but reclaim parts of herself that she thought were gone forever. Delight, spontaneity, courage. Sweetness wasn't her enemy. Fear was. And now, she eats boldly, not recklessly, but intelligently. She reads labels, but more importantly, she listens to her body. And that body, once muted by fear, now speaks with strength. As Helen often says to the group,
Don't cut the fruit, cut the fear, and let your story begin again.